Harry's world just came crashing down. In a shocking turn of events, 800 veterans have announced they are withdrawing from the upcoming 2025 Invictus Games in Canada, a move that has sent Prince Harry into a state of panic. What could have caused such a massive backlash from the very group of people he's fought so hard to support? The Invictus Games, which Harry once considered his crowning achievement, are now at risk of spiraling into chaos. But what's really going on behind the scenes? The Invictus Games, Harry's brainchild, have been a symbol of resilience, strength, and unity for wounded veterans worldwide since their inception. They've allowed athletes, many of whom have faced life-altering injuries, to find a new sense of purpose and pride through sport. But now, with the 2025 Games just around the corner, Prince Harry is facing a crisis like no other. 800 veterans, more than a quarter of the athletes expected to compete, have made the stunning decision to withdraw their involvement. This unprecedented move has sent shockwaves through the Invictus community, leaving Harry scrambling to understand why his own cause is unraveling so quickly. What could have led to such an overwhelming rejection from the very people the Games were meant to uplift? The answer, as it turns out, is tied to a series of missteps, broken promises, and growing frustration with Harry and his team's handling of the event. The first red flag appeared when the veterans, who had been eagerly preparing for the 2025 Games in Canada, began to raise concerns about the lack of transparency surrounding the event's planning. Veterans who had participated in previous Invictus Games said they were being kept in the dark about crucial details, like the event's schedule, logistics, and accommodations. For a group of athletes who rely heavily on clear communication and support, this lack of clarity quickly became a major source of frustration. One of the most vocal critics has been former British Army veteran Johnny, who previously competed in the Invictus Games and was among the first to speak out publicly. Johnny expressed his disappointment in Harry's team for failing to communicate vital information in a timely manner. "We've always been told the Games were about veterans first," Johnny said in a recent interview. "But now it feels like we're just an afterthought. We're not even getting the basics right. And it's not just affecting the athletes, it's affecting their families too." But the issues didn't stop there. A growing number of veterans started to question Harry's commitment to the Games. Some felt that, in recent years, Harry had become more focused on his own personal brand and media appearances, rather than the cause he had once championed so passionately. With Harry's ongoing battles with the British press and his frequent trips to the United States, many began to feel that the Invictus Games were becoming more about him than about the athletes themselves. The breaking point came when it was revealed that Harry's team had failed to secure enough sponsorships and funding for the event, which directly impacted the resources available to the veterans. Many of the athletes who had been promised adequate financial support for travel, accommodation, and medical needs were left in limbo as the Games organizing committee struggled to deliver. The withdrawal of 800 veterans is, in part, a direct response to these unfulfilled promises. For many of these veterans, the Invictus Games represent more than just a chance to compete. They're a lifeline. Many have struggled with PTSD, physical injuries, and reintegration into civilian life. The Games were meant to be a platform for them to rebuild their confidence, reconnect with others who had faced similar challenges, and prove that they could still excel. But now, that opportunity seems to be slipping away. It's not just the lack of communication and funding that has caused the withdrawal. Veterans have also expressed concern over the increasing commercialization of the Games. The initial vision for Invictus was one of camaraderie and healing, but many athletes now feel that the event is turning into a spectacle, a money-making venture that prioritizes media attention over their well-being. The corporate sponsorships, the flashy marketing campaigns, and the ever-growing media coverage have left some feeling like they're being used as pawns in a much larger game. For Prince Harry, this has been a devastating blow. As the face of the Invictus Games, he's worked tirelessly to raise awareness and ensure that the event provides a platform for veterans to showcase their resilience. But now, with 800 veterans pulling out, Harry is left grappling with the very real possibility that his legacy project could fall apart. What's even more troubling for Harry is the public nature of the withdrawal. The news of the veterans' decision to withdraw has already made headlines around the world, with many media outlets framing it as a direct condemnation of Harry's leadership. This is a particularly sensitive issue for the prince, who has been struggling to regain favor. with both the British public and the wider international community. His reputation, which has already been tarnished by his departure from royal duties and his ongoing feud with the British press, is now under even greater scrutiny. Harry, who once viewed the Invictus Games as one of the few projects where he could truly make a difference, is now facing the possibility that his involvement in the event could do more harm than good. Behind the scenes, sources close to the prince have revealed that Harry is in a state of panic as he tries to navigate the fallout from the veterans' withdrawal. He's reportedly been making frantic calls to key stakeholders, attempting to salvage the situation and rebuild trust with the athletes. The 2025 Invictus Games were supposed to be a triumphant moment for Harry, a chance for him to demonstrate his commitment to the causes he's passionate about. But now, with 800 veterans pulling out, the games are in jeopardy. Some insiders believe that the situation could become a full-blown crisis if Harry doesn't act quickly. If the withdrawals continue, it could seriously impact the credibility of the entire event and jeopardize future games. The question now is whether Harry can recover from this PR disaster. Can he rebuild the trust of the veterans and ensure that the 2025 games go ahead as planned? Or has the damage been done beyond repair? One possible solution that's being discussed behind closed doors is a complete overhaul of the event's organization. Some believe that Harry may need to distance himself from the games in order to restore their credibility and regain the confidence of the veterans. While this would be a difficult decision for the prince, it could be the only way to salvage the games and ensure that they stay true to their original mission. Others, however, argue that Harry should double down on his involvement and take full responsibility for the current crisis. They believe that by showing true leadership, acknowledging the mistakes, apologizing to the veterans, and making meaningful changes, he can win back their support and restore the Invictus Games to their former glory. As Harry's team scrambles to resolve the situation, one thing is certain: the future of the Invictus Games hangs in the balance. With 800 veterans pulling out, the stakes have never been higher. The next few weeks will be critical in determining whether Harry can recover from this setback or if the games will suffer an irreversible blow. But just when it seemed like the Invictus Games might be headed for disaster, a new twist emerges, one that could change everything. Will a surprise intervention save the games, or is this the end of Harry's vision? Stay tuned, because the 2025 Invictus Games may be more in danger than anyone realized. And the real question is, can Harry regain control before it's too late?